For anybody that watches the news or lives in Ohio, we know that there's an epidemic, a war on drugs right now. The heroin epidemic, the overdose rate, the deaths, and the criminal activity associated with the heroin out there today is at record-breaking numbers. And anyone that watches any type of news source or has any type of social media information is aware of that. And I want to bring the conversation up about what can be done about the war on drugs. What can we do to help fight against this war on drugs towards the heroin that's in our community, that's in our schools, that's in our businesses, that's wrecking the community as we speak? I like to reflect back onto about 5 years ago, where of course there was still drugs and there was still criminal activity, and there were still homicides, and there were still gangs, and there were still guns on the streets. But I reflect back to about 5 years ago, and it just seems like over the past 5 years, the progression of criminal activity, the number of homicides, the number of overdose deaths, the number of overdoses, period, has risen so much. And it's going to continue to rise unless we take charge and do something about it. Now, I know that this conversation is being sparked up in a lot of different places. It comes up in the court system, it comes up in the schools, it comes up in drug and alcohol treatment centers, it comes up in mental health settings, it comes up in classrooms and universities, it comes up everywhere. The question is, what can we do to help fight this war on drugs? And I know some people will say, well, we need more education, we need more education for youths, we need to help change the upcoming generation. Some people will say, well, we need stricter laws, we need harsher punishments if you get caught with drugs, we need harsher gun laws. Some people say, well, we need more money towards treatment centers, we need more community resources, things for people to do to fill their time and have fun and enjoy their life, rather than just being bored and using drugs to pass time or have fun. And some people will say that there's nothing we can do about it. Addicts are going to continue to use, and they're going to die, and whether the numbers go up or down, that's really not up to me, and there ain't nothing I can do about it. And I know everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and everyone has their own belief systems, but I'm one that truly believes that if the right people come together and connect and start making a plan of action, that we can do something about this war on drugs, that we can start saving lives, that we can start attacking this problem from several different angles and end up getting results. And I'm going to use this scenario for example. I know back in Martin Luther King days, when the racial wars was the big hot topic in the United States, where the blacks sat on that side of the bus and the whites sat on that side of the bus, I'm sure everybody thought, well, this is just how it is. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe we should make harsher laws. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. But what ended up happening was one man stood up and said, you know what? I have a dream. Martin Luther King, I have a dream that one day men, women, black, white will be treated equal in the United States. And I know he had a much larger vision than that, but he stood up and he had a voice and he started something that ended up to where blacks and whites were treated equal. Now, I know that's kind of a far out comparison to the war on drugs compared to the racial war that we had several decades ago. But what we need today is we need community leaders, which I know they're trying. We need the community leaders, and we need resources in the community, people in the businesses. We need people in the streets. We need people in the schools. We need people everywhere advocating for recovery. We need more resources. And another story I want to share is the fact that the marijuana was on the ballot to legalize marijuana, and it failed 2-1, nearly 2-1. And I read in a newspaper that that was a $20 million campaign went to fund that campaign to try to legalize marijuana in Ohio. $20 million. Now, I remember a couple months back seeing people out on the street corners and at the stores and knocking on business doors saying, will you sign our petition? Will you sign this? Will you sign this? We're just here to support legalization of marijuana. And I know there's issue 2 and issue 3 and monopolies and all that crap, which I don't know a whole lot about nor care to. But I do know that $20 million went into that campaign to try to legalize marijuana. And I sit back and reflect on, if that $20 million was channeled into something like recovery, treatment options, more availability of resources that people need in Springfield, in Ohio in general, maybe something positive would have been done. Now, I know that when we have this conversation about what can we do, a lot of times people just talk in circles. We talk in circles, throw around some good ideas, what ifs, and in the end, we really get nowhere. But what I want to do is bring up the conversation about what can we do, what can I do as an individual to continue to promote a new way of life, a new way of living, change, hope, freedom, that people don't have to die from the horrors of addiction and heroin and opiates and fentanyl and cocaine and crack and alcohol and drugs in general. People don't have to continue to live like that. But not everybody knows that there's a way out. So I just wanted to kind of talk about this conversation and maybe get it started a little bit. I don't know where it'll go. It might not go anywhere. But I know that this conversation needs to happen because the overdose death rates are rising so fast that if we don't do something about it, and 5 years from now, if this epidemic continues to get worse, there's going to be a lot of family members out there who lose a lot of loved ones, and they're going to continue losing them, and there's going to be families ruined, and there's going to be children who grow up without parents, and there's going to be crime, and there's going to be criminals everywhere, and it's going to continue. And that thought scares me, that 5 years from now this could be worse. But I know that if the right people and the right brains and the right resources come together, we can create something to attack this war on drugs and stand up for what we believe in, stand up for change, stand up for recovery, stand up for creating a better community where people aren't scared to come outside, where people aren't scared to take their children outside and play because they're worried about drive-bys and drug addicts and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I just wanted to kind of bring out this topic, this conversation. Maybe we can get together and have a good idea and start something. Start a change, start a movement. Done.